Hello everyone, welcome to Narayan IAS, and as a part of daily news analysis, we bring the 5 most important articles to you from The Hindu and Indian Express. And in continuity of the same series, today's 5 articles are: number 1, Supreme Court has given its backing to EVM and negating the possibilities of reviving the ballot system. Second, we will talk about: can fresh poll be an option if NOTA gets the most votes? That is a question Supreme Court has asked the Election Commission of India. Third, we will talk about Nilgiri Tahr, especially in light of Tamil Nadu government, along with several other organizations, is conducting a comprehensive survey to analyze their endangered status. Fourth, we will move on to Shanghai Cooperation Organization, especially when India, at its recent meet, talk about the zero tolerance policy towards the terrorism. And lastly, we will talk about the AEO status that is given by the center to jewelry sector. So what does it mean? And once we're done with all of that, we will discuss a prelims and mains question on the same topics. So let's begin. Let's begin with first news, that is Supreme Court has backed EVM and ruled out the possibility of ballot system. Why is it important? Because EVM machines or election machinery of India is part of GS paper 2 and mains question can be asked on that. You can see even in previous year question, this question was asked in 2018 itself. That is, in light of the recent controversy regarding the EVM, what are the challenges before the Election Commission of India to ensure the trustworthiness of election in India? And don't ever think that since previously UPSC has asked question, it will not ask the same question again. It can definitely ask the same question and it has done that as well. So be prepared for this one. Now, the context. In past few days or few months, many individuals had filed the PIL in Supreme Court saying the EVMs are not working properly, they may not be responsible of free and fair election, and they talked about reviving the ballot system, to which Supreme Court actually gave the judgment not only, number 1, on EVMs, but also on VVPAT as well, because PIL were filed on that too, and third is voter trust. Okay, so in this article, we will talk about all three of them. Number 1, regarding EVM, judgment regarding EVM. Number 2, VVPAT system. And number 3 is the voter trust. Okay, moving ahead, number 1, let's understand what is EVM before we discuss a judgment. EVM or electronic voting machine is actually a device that is used to record the votes. Generally, before EVM, there was ballot system. That means on a piece of paper, there were multiple options were given and you will tick on the political party that you are interested in and then put the, fold this piece of paper and put that in ballot. That was ballot system. But unlike in ballot system, it is paper-free EVM system, that is electronic voting machine. In this, the options are given on an electronic machine and against the candidate that you are interested in, you just push your button and your vote is casted. That's basically EVM machine. Now, how EVM was introduced in India? EVM was introduced in 1982 in Paravur Assembly Constituency of Kerala. EVM was first introduced in 1982 in Paravur Assembly Constituency of Kerala. And in 2003, all state and by-election were actually done with the help of EVM. And finally, in 2004, Election Commission of India mandated that in Lok Sabha election, only EVM will be used. And ever since then, we are using EVM. Okay. Then what is the problem with the EVM? Why the PILR being filed? Now, those people who have filed the PILR, they are said they are apprehensive that this machine, since it is electronic, it is vulnerable to hacking as well as tampering. And they have come up with several mechanisms by which the hacking can be done in the EVM. The Election Commission of India in last year conducted an experiment in which said it was not possible. This time they have filed a PIL. Now, Supreme Court has actually gave up on ballot system and is not willing to revive it because of the advantages that EVM system offer. Now, what are the advantages that EVM offer? Number 1, according to Supreme Court, EVM is much more efficient in terms of time as well as cost. And given the size of India, the voter population, that is nearly 97 crore, the numerous candidates that fight the election and huge number of polling booth, it will be actually an administrative nightmare because logistically it will be very difficult to conduct election using ballot system for such number of population. Now, whereas EVM is very convenient, because in this case, what you do is the entire mechanism is expedited. Where using electrical mechanism, the counting process becomes very fast. Also, it reduces the cost as well, because manpower comes down significantly. Not only manpower, for two reasons. Number one, the counting is not done manually, so not many people are needed for the counting. Second is also for the security purpose as well. So this help in what? It increases, it actually brings the efficiency in terms of time as well as in terms of cost. So it is very productive mechanism. On the other hand, ballot system actually give the administrative nightmare and introduce many logistical challenges as well. Also, EVM reduces multiple error as well. Like while filing the ballot system, sometime invalid votes were cast. And that's the reason Supreme Court also says that it had reduced the invalid votes as well by a significant number. And how that was done? Well, like in case of a ballot, maybe the misprinting is not just misprinting, maybe the ink has actually spread across the ballot system, and thus entire vote used to become invalid, which has reduced down significantly in the entire EVM system. Also, according to Supreme Court, it has also helped eliminate the electoral offences and malpractices like booth capturing because of the mechanism it has. Now remember, in current EVM system, in 12 seconds, only one person can make a vote. That means in a minute, only 4 people can cast a vote. So if someone tries to go for the booth capturing, it will take him a huge amount of time to actually manipulate the vote or to increase the vote count by significant number. By then, police will come to the booth, because somebody will definitely file actually police report. Police can come to it, security person can come, and they can prevent that from happening. Now, because of this time lag, it's actually helping entire election machinery to remove the practices like booth capturing. Now, and for that reason, Supreme Court has said that given the advantage EVM does, it will be very regressive step to go back to the ballot system. Okay, now moving on to the data that support EVM. Now, Supreme Court has also said that not only advantages, but the allegation says that EVM can be misused. But Supreme Court says the data suggests otherwise. Data suggests the accuracy and voting count with the help of EVM. Like here, it's the data says that out of 20,600 VVPAT slips that were counted, only one discrepancy occurred at a polling station number 63 in the Andhra Pradesh constituency, and that too because the presiding officer failed to delete the mock poll data. It was not a big mistake actually. It was mistake on part of presiding officer that was corrected there itself. And thus it says the EVM is a very efficient machine actually. So it doesn't make sense for us to go back to the ballot system, which is cumbersome and logistically very difficult to implement. Next is, Supreme Court also says that EVM undergoes periodic testing by technical expert committee before being introduced into the election, and only when they approve it is introduced in the election process, and so that the entire process is fault free. So according to Supreme Court, it doesn't make sense that you should be afraid of a process which is already very fair and is actually away from any kind of malpractices. So here Supreme Court just simply asked, there will be no ballot system. The second judgment Supreme Court gave was in VVPAT system. Now let's understand what is VVPAT. VVPAT, a voter verifiable proper audit trial, is actually an independent system that consists of 2 parts. So here you can imagine it. If this is your EVM machine, right? There is a system or VVPAT system actually attached to this. And this VVPAT system consists of 2 units. Number 1, a display unit that is called as VVPAT Status Display Unit, VSDU, a display unit. And second is a printer. Second unit is a printer that is attached to it. Okay. Now, during voting system, what happened is, if a person has casted a vote in here, immediately on the screen, he can see the name of the candidate, the voting symbol, as well as serial number. Candidate name, voting symbol, and serial name. That he can see on the display. So he can verify whether he had casted a right vote or not. So this also reduces the possibilities of mistake. Second is, it also helped here is, there is a printer attached to the entire system. So the moment any candidate also file or make a vote over there, in printer, that slip particular, the display unit that is being printed, the same is being printed, and it goes into a transparent box where voter can oversee that his vote is being casted, and it's right now in the transparent box there. Okay, so how does VVPAT help the entire system? It was actually first introduced in 2014 Lok Sabha. It was introduced for two reasons. Number one, it helps in a voter verification. Like I explained, any voter can see to whom he has counted, and there is no error in voting mechanism, because various people were complaining that even if they were going to to vote for per se BJP, the vote was going for the Congress because the EVMs were manipulated such way. So, and the vice versa complaint were also there. But in VVPAT, you can simply see that vote you have casted is visible on your display unit. So, it's right there. The vote is not going to any other person. Second, after the entire voting process is done, this process also help in post-election cross-verification. That is to see whether the entire election process was fair or not. How? Out in the entire constituency, 5 unit per assembly are chosen, or 5% also says it, but 5 unit per assembly are chosen randomly, and then out of those, the total number of voted count by EVM are verified by the slip, the VVPAT slip that was actually left in the transparent box. So total number of votes are also counted in slip in the VVPAT system, that whether they are same or not, in order to ensure whether the entire electoral process was actually fair or not. And thus it also helps in the post-election cross-verification process. Okay. Now, what are the recent demand over in the PIL that was filed? Now, various citizens are saying, since VVPAT helped them in verification, there should be 100% VVPAT verification. That means all, in case of all assembly constituency, there should be cross-verification done at all the constituency, not just 5 unit that are chosen. But now, what is the judgment of Supreme Court in such a case? Supreme Court says that in such a case, it will delay the entire process, because in case of VVPAT, whenever the vote, one counting is done at EVM place and other counting is done around VVPAT slip. Now, this counting process is generally done manually. You should remember that. The VVPAT counting system is done manually. So, Supreme Court says that if 100% VVPAT counting will be done, it will actually delay the entire process, the counting as well as the declaration of result as well. Second, Supreme Court has said that it is very impractical too. It is prone to misuse, malpractice and dispute, which was the case with the ballot system. So, it's like you're reintroducing the ballot system. And third, Supreme Court has also said that it will increase the cost as well. The time is increasing, the cost too, because the manpower will be doubled to do the counting too. The same, the problem with the ballot system. So the Supreme Court has said that right now it is not possible to introduce a VVPAT for all the assemblies. But at the same point of time, Supreme Court does understand the scenario, and in this case, instead of entirely neglecting the PIL in here, Supreme Court has given some suggestions to the Election Commission of India for the efficiency in VVPAT. Number one, it has said that VVPAT slips can also be counted through machines, the counting machines that we have right now. Also, the symbol actually loaded in VVPAT unit can be bar-coded so that counting can be easily. So, Supreme Court has said, maybe we can increase the number from 5 to 10% to 15%. That is the number of your assembly unit that are verified with the EVM machines. So, this is a suggestion which can be taken in a positive note. Lastly, overall, Supreme Court has said that number one, this was an opportunity for a Supreme Court to actually check the entire administrative and technical safeguards in election process. And by checking that, it has actually reinstated the faith in democracy. But at the same point of time, Supreme Court has said that though voters have a right to check whether they have counted they have actually voted for the right party or not, but this should not actually be a regular process in terms of it may undermine the trust and participation in election if you keep on questioning the democratic process without any kind of verifiable evidences. So, Supreme Court is saying just do not make baseless allegation. There has to be evidences, then only make allegation. Don't undermine the process unnecessarily. Again, you can see in the entire judgment, there was a balancing act that was actually shown by the Supreme Court in here. It has balanced the fundamental right of voters to ensure accurate vote counting with practical consideration that how can that be logistically possible without incur more cost and time. Supreme Court kept that in mind. Thus, it actually ensured the balance between the accountability and efficiency. So that's why Supreme Court decision in the entire process is considered as a welcome decision here. From here on, we'll move to the next article. Moving on to next article, that is Supreme Court seeks Election Commission reply on a petition for fresh polls if NOTA gets most votes. This is important because this has a relevance to Representation of People Act, even NOTA, and even it is directly like these provisions are mentioned in the GS paper 2, that is salient features of Representation of People Act, and how is it relevant? We'll talk about it. Okay, even previously UPSC has asked questions on a similar pattern, like in 2019. On what ground a people's representative can be disqualified under Representation of People Act 1951? Also mentions the remedies available to such person against this disqualification. So topics like that are important. But first of all, let's answer the question, why is Supreme Court asking this? Why NOTA is in news? Because Supreme Court has asked Election Commission to consider if people can have right to fresh election in case NOTA gets a majority vote. Now, begin with understanding what is NOTA. NOTA, or none of the above, is basically a ballot option introduced in the India to allow the voter to reject all the candidate in the election. And thus NOTA is actually introduced in the EVM as the last option in the EVM machine. So if you see, your EVM machine actually looks like this, and it has multiple options, writing like this. And whenever you click on any of them, you actually select the particular candidate. But what if you don't like any of them? If you don't like any of them, you can click a NOTA button which says that you don't like any of the above. So it actually gives a voter a right to disapproval of all the existing candidates. Simply, you're just by selecting NOTA, you're rejecting all the above candidates, all the candidates that are given in the in a particular constituency. Okay. Now, as an option, it was introduced in India after Supreme Court gave a judgment in People's Union for Civil Liberties and others in the Union of India in 2013. So these were like some judgment that was given by Supreme Court, after which the NOTA was introduced. And in 2013 itself, it was actually used in the assembly election in Chhattisgarh, Mizoram, Rajasthan, Delhi, MP, following the directive that was given by the court. Now, this actually marks or actually makes India the 14th country to implement such negative voting pattern. Okay, now let's understand NOTA in India, and NOTA is different from the NOTA that is in other country. Okay, let's understand this. Now, NOTA in India gives right to disapproval. To an Indian voter, whereas NOTA in another country, or right to rejection, another country, people get the right to rejection. Now, what does it mean? That imagine a scenario if there is candidate A and there is candidate B and then there is NOTA. And in a particular scenario, NOTA got maybe 50% of the vote, and B candidate got 30% of the vote, and A candidate got 20% of the vote. So NOTA, that means none of the above got the majority of the vote. Now in case of India, it will not impact election consequence at all. The result of the election will not be altered by this. Only you are actually registering your disapproval, that you don't like any of the candidate. But in case of other country, where they have right to rejection, they will be re-election. So what will happen over there? There will be re-election, and most likely, and the parties have to file a new candidate as well. Okay, so you can understand the difference. Here, re-election and new candidate. But in case of India, you're actually only registering the right to disapproval. Okay, then what are the benefits of NOTA in Indian democracy? Number one, it was introduced by Supreme Court by saying that at least voters are able to express the disapproval. Earlier, nobody knew how much they were dissatisfied with the existing candidates over in a constituency. Now, at least people are aware, Election Commission of India is aware, and even political party are aware that the candidate is not liked by the people in a particular constituency. Second, it actually promotes higher voter engagement. Earlier, many people were not participating, thinking that what the impact does it make? Because I already don't like any of the candidate, so why do I vote? But now they can register, at least they can register their disapproval. Overall data increases, the NOTA increases accountability and pressure political party to field a candidate that has higher acceptance in a particular assembly constituency. Okay, but you know the difference. NOTA does not give right to rejection in India, and for that reason, the petition is filed in case of India that it should be given legal recognition. So a way forward in here is, since Supreme Court is looking after the litigation, it was Supreme Court who introduced the NOTA, and thus it may have the same power to actually give NOTA some power as well. That is right to rejection. So some of the suggestions that are given is giving it a legal enforcement. We're transforming NOTA from a symbolic to a functional tool by instituting a right to reject, where a majority of the voter can lead to re-election. Like NOTA can be given right to rejection. Next is, there can be some awareness campaign so that citizens are aware, number one, that there is an option of voter. Number two, what can be the implication of selecting a NOTA. Third is, there can be some political response as well, where if political party can see that that in a particular constituency, NOTA has got the majority, they should not file that candidate anymore. Because of course, the 50% of the candidate do not like a particular person. So next start with that is IUCN representative to an observer in Nilgiri Tahr survey. This is important because Nilgiri Tahr and project Nilgiri Tahr are important to UPSC, and they can easily ask question from this region. This is important from prelims perspective because a general issue in environmental ecology and biodiversity, it falls under this paradigm. Also in mains as well, you can write it as an example, a specific question like environmental ecology conservation and environmental impact assessment, the damage to environment. Okay, this is important given the fact that the question like this are asked in UPSC, especially IUCN. Here you can see the example. The Red Data Book published by the IUCN contains a list of number one, endemic plant and animal species present in biodiversity hotspot. Second, threatened plant and animal species. Third, protected site for conservation of nature and natural resource in various countries. So just go through this example and try to come up with an answer, because if you know about IUCN, you can easily answer this question. But in this video, we will not focus on IUCN, our focus is Nilgiri Tahr. Now, why are we focusing on it? Because recently, Tamil Nadu government has decided to conduct a very comprehensive survey, partnering with multiple organizations, including IUCN. Here, they are actually trying to conduct the survey of Nilgiri Tahr and its existing population right now. And why are they interested in it? Because they are trying to remove Nilgiri Tahr from the endangered species, showing that they have done significant work in this and they are right now in a very safe category. Now, more in the news, you should understand that Tamil Nadu government is using several new techniques in this, like bounded count method and the double observation method to actually observe or count these species in the region where they're mostly found, like Grass Hill National Park and Mukurthi National Park. We'll discuss about this national park in detail later. Now, data collected from this particular survey will serve as a foundation for the project Nilgiri Tahr, which is actually dedicated to conservation of Nilgiri Tahr. Along with that, this will also help in the government initiative where they're trying to reintroduce Nilgiri Tahr in their earlier habitat like Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve. Okay, before we actually come to the conclusion, let's understand Nilgiri Tahr. Nilgiri Tahr, also known as Nilgiri Ibex, is endemic to the Nilgiri Hills and southwestern Ghats in state of Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Nilgiri Hills, which are found in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, it is endemic to that. What do you mean by endemic? Endemics, they are actually bound or generally found in that particular area. Okay. Also, they are grassland species, generally found in open mountain grassland habitat of the rainforest ecosystem, where there is open area available to them and more availability of rainfall. Also, you should keep in mind the adult male in Nilgiri Tahr species have a light grey area, also called as saddle on their back, and thus they're also called as saddleback. So don't be taken back if UPSC asks a question on saddleback and then you're confused. It's basically the male species of Nilgiri Tahr only. Also, this is a state animal of Tamil Nadu, and Irvakulam National Park is a home to the largest population of this tahr. Coming to its status, Now, Nilgiri Tahr is given an endangered species by the IUCN. IUCN, the question on which this was given. And it has been categorized as Schedule 1 in the Wildlife Protection Act. Now, what does it mean? It means the endangered status means they have reached to such number of population that their number, if reduced down from this level, then their existence will be highly threatened. They will not survive after this. And that's an endangered category is a very concerning category for anyone. Now, threats, what's actually threatening them? Number one is a habitat loss and fragmentation, poaching and overall climate change. Because of its water, food availability is coming down, and overall, they're not able to survive. Okay. Going ahead with Mukurthi National Park. Mukurthi National Park is located in the northwest corner of Tamil Nadu. Here you can see this diagram. This is Tamil Nadu. It is this northwest corner where the Mukurthi National Park is found. Okay. It is a part of Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve, overall Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve, which contains Muthumulai Wildlife Sanctuary, Bandipur, Nagarhole National Park, Wayanad Sanctuary, and Silent Valley. It is a very big biosphere reserve where multiple national parks are part of this. So, Mukurthi National Park is also part of this biosphere reserve. Here, the keystone species is Nilgiri Tahr. That means if Nilgiri Tahr doesn't survive, the entire ecosystem will be threatened. Overall, you can know the forest type that are found in Mukurthi National Park are montane grassland and suburbs with which actually formed as a result of high rainfall. The most famous peak over there is actually Mukurthi Peak, which is one of the highest peak in Nilgiri Hills. And the tribal community which are found over there are Toda community. Okay, moving on to is a Grass Hill National Park. It is protected area in Western Ghat and it is part of the Annamalai Tiger Reserve, forming its boundary with the Eraviculam National Park. So, under the Annamalai Tiger Reserve, it's over there and it has a boundary with the Eraviculam National Park. Let's start an article that is Adopt Zero Tolerance Toward Terrorism, India at SCO Meet. Why are we talking about this? Because SCO or Shanghai Cooperation Organization is important to UPSC. Even UPSC in past has asked question on it. Second, it is part of GS Mains Paper 2, that is bilateral, regional and global grouping that affect India's interest, and SCO does. India is part of it and the members who are also part of this are actually, India is interested in them. So, let's move on to, like UPSC in 2015 asked question in which SCO was there. You can read the question, that is Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action often seen in the news is, number one, a strategy to tackle regional terrorism, an outcome of meeting of SCO. Second, a plan of action for sustainable economic growth in Asia-Pacific region, an outcome of deliberation of Asia-Pacific Economic Forum. Third, an agenda for women empowerment, an outcome of World Conference convened by UN, a strategy to combat wildlife trafficking, a declaration of East Asia Summit. So, take a pause and try to answer this question. Let's move on that why are we talking about this? Because recently, India's Defense Minister actually led an Indian delegation to SCO meeting Astana, Kazakhstan, where he highlighted a zero-tolerance approach towards terrorism. In that meeting, he actually talked in India's stand on terrorism. He talked about how we need to openly condemn state-sponsored terrorism. This is very important to talk about. And you know which country we are referring to in here, that is Pakistan, which is actually a major concern for India. Also, India talk about that we can't have a double standard while tackling the terrorism. So, we can't afford the state-sponsored terrorism. At same point of time, there should not be double standard. What double standard that I'm talking in here? Number one, if you see Pakistan has actually categorized, Pakistan has categorized the terrorist unit in good or bad terrorism. Per se, good Taliban. Now, good Taliban is that Taliban that doesn't hurt Pakistan, but actually hurt any other country. On the other hand, bad Taliban is that Taliban that hurt Pakistan, but the other countries can be like, it doesn't matter what happens to them. And such distinction is actually not good for the growth and development of the entire region. And India does not support such kind of hypocrisy. So against this, India is saying that we need to isolate such nations that are supporting terrorism. So state-sponsored terrorism, it doesn't like, double standard doesn't like, and there is a need of isolation of this country. And then lastly, the fourth point that this meeting makes is that we need to have collective unified stance against such kind of terrorist activity in the Asia-Pacific region. Now, let's moving on to understand what is SCO or Shanghai Cooperation Organization. SCO or Shanghai Cooperation is an international political, economic and security alliance that was formed in 2011 by Kazakhstan, China, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, Uzbekistan and Tajikistan. Remember, before SCO, this was actually known as Shanghai Five, where the country were China, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia and Tajikistan. They came together and formed Shanghai Five. But in 2001, it became SCO after Uzbekistan joined them. And the first summit of SCO was organized in Shanghai, China, 2001. Remember, this grouping is led mainly by the China as well as Russia. Okay, but currently this is a 9-member organization. From 6 to it has become a 9-member organization. When in 2070, India and Pakistan decide to join it. And finally, in 2023, Iran also became its member. Also, you should remember some facts over here that its official language is Russian as well as Chinese. Because, you know, UPSC was also interested in official languages of UN. Along with official language of UN, should also know the official language of SCO as well. Here, important aspect is that SCO is actually governed by head of state council, where there is a representative of the head of the nation of the member countries. And it is the highest decision-making body which meets annually, not biannually, annually. Its permanent secretariat is actually located in Beijing, China, and additionally, SCO oversees associated entities like SCO, Regional Anti-Terrorist Structure, which is dedicated to fighting terrorism in the particular area, and as well as SCO Business Council, which is dedicated to promoting economic growth in the region. Okay, now what are its objectives? You should remember that SCO has mainly threefold objective, which is clubbing of political, security and economic objective. When it comes to political, we are talking about that member of these member nation of this particular region can come together, and this platform gives them opportunity to actually dissolve mutual conflict and find the solution where they can promote to collective growth. Second, actually security perspective. Now, this region is suffering from multiple challenges which has trans-border consequences and which is impacting the stability of the entire region, like terrorism, extremism and separation. So, this platform gives them opportunity to come together and find a mutual solution to all the existing problems. Third, it gives them opportunity for economic cooperation, like enhancing economic types and come up with mutual developmental projects. Lastly, it actually helps in promoting cultural exchange with increasing people-to-people contact and cultural contact among the member countries can lead to significant mutual understanding and respect of the entire region. Overall, the Shanghai SCO or Shanghai organization is guided by the Shanghai spirit. That is, it is about mutual trust, mutual benefit, equality, consultation, respect of the cultural diversity in the region. Okay, and that's why SCO is very important, because with the help of SCO, we can fight the collective political, economic and security challenges. Overall, this organization is significant because it roughly spans 60% of Eurasia, comprise 40% of the global population, 20% of the global GDP. Overall, this platform is important because it gives the opportunity for the member with opposing interests to come together and find a mutually benefiting solution to the existing problem, like India and Pakistan an example here. However, that is its criticism as well, that SCO is not being very effective because the member countries have diverging interests and economic disparity. As a result, they do not generally come on consensus. Second is the organization. The members that are part of this organization are suffering from criticism that they are too much focused on security and often at the cost of democratic value and human right violation in the member countries. And generally, Ukraine is given as example in here, and even Beijing as well, where the domestic human right violation are generally seen by the global entities. With this, we're done with this news, and let's move on to the next one. Moving on to next article, that is Center Accord AEO status to gem and jewelry sector. AEO means Authorized Economic Operator. So why is this important? Because this comes under the GS paper 3 mains. Indian economy, change in industrial policy and effect on industrial growth. See, it may look like a very small topic to you, but UPSC is infamous or famous, whatever you can say, asking questions like that. Specific initiative. Here, like example is in 2018, UPSC asked a prelims question. India enacted the Geographical Indication of Goods Act 1999 in order to comply with the obligation of ILO, IMF, UNCTAD or WTO. So think about it and try to answer this question, because you, GIE, the Geographical Indication Act, you might be aware of. Now let's start with AEO. It sounds very new to you. Why is it news? Because recently, Gems and Jewelry Export Promotion Council has said that Center has extended the authorized economic operator status to gems and jewelry sector. The entire sector has given the authorized economic operator status. That means individual from that particular sector can apply for the AEO status. Okay, then bigger question is, what is AEO and how does it help the businessman? Okay, this is an innovation that was introduced by the World Customs Organization for two purposes. World Customs Organization actually basically wanted two things. Number one, the entire supply chains, means the supplying of goods and services. The entire supply chain should be more secure against theft, against fraud, etc. Second, it wanted that entire legitimate trade, not the illegitimate, entire legitimate trade should be more facilitated. It should be what? It should be more easy. It should be more easy. Now, overall, in order to do so, what WCO does it introduces a mechanism in which a particular business entity in a particular sector is given AEO status based on its past performance and past record. If they have found that this particular individual or entity has always shown a compliance to security and financial solvency, they're always good in the record, then particular entity will be given AEO status. Now, what this status will give? This status will give them special benefit. It's like a VIP card, that if you engage in trade, you will have to follow less custom regulations. You don't have to follow the cumbersome process. The process will be relatively easy for you. So overall, it does what? It enhances the trading process. A similar initiative is also with India. That is India AEO program. And in India, this program is administered by the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Custom. Okay, again to facilitate the trade process in India. Here you should remember, in India AEO, we follow the global standard, but along with that, we keep in mind the specific need of Indian trade landscape, which might be different from the global standard. As a project, it was introduced in 2011 by the Custom Department as a part of entire initiative of easing the business in India. Okay. Now, what are the aims of AEO program? You know, number one is security of supply chain. Number two is facilitating the trade. You should never forget it. Now, how does it do so? Now, it does so when an individual is given an AEA status, and if that person is actually engaging in business, you are sure that there are lesser chances of tampering, theft and terrorism in that particular case, because the credibility of that particular individual or entity is good. So supply chain is what? Safe. We are focusing on that, remember. We want our entire supply chain to be safe as well as secure. Second is, it facilitates the trade as well. Like I said, there is a perk that is given to them, that is a VIP status by which the entire clearance process is easy. So overall trade mechanism is what? It is facilitated by minimizing delays and administrative burdens on an individual or an entity. Also, it promotes compliance too. Now, how does it do so? More and more individual will be actually motivated to get this status, because it will help them in trade. The entire process will be easy. So they will try to be more in compliance with the existing regulatory mechanism. So don't you agree? It will actually also promote the compliance mechanism as well. So it improves the compliance too. And lastly, it fosters the mutual recognition in between two countries. Per se, one individual who is from India is given AEO status, and that is recognized by Japan. India will definitely understand that. And thus, if Japan has given same status to individual too, who is a Japanese resident, then India will also recognize this. So this will does what? A mutual recognition, and thus deepening economic ties as well. And that's why AEO status is considered as a very revolutionary mechanism to promote the trade in particular country or across the world. Okay. So overall, what is the benefit of AO certification? You can understand now. The compliance, the custom clearance become faster. The compliance become better. The inspections are reduced. The supply chain becomes easy. It becomes more efficient. Global recognition is also there. Overall, improving the risk management. So I hope you understood this topic. Now let's move on to the next one. Now let's talk about prelims question on the article that we have discussed so far. First of all, the first question is, consider the following statement regarding the Western Ghat. The foothill region or the east of Western Ghat in Maharashtra is known as Valnadu. It is not in Valnadu, it is Deshu something. We have not discussed the Western Ghat, that's why you may be a little confused, but next time we definitely will. Second, Anamudi, located in Kerala, is the highest peak of Western Ghat. Now that you must have known, and that is true as well. Also, the Western Ghat are recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site due to its rich diversity. That statement, when you have read the World Heritage Site in India, you must have known is actually correct. So, the two statements are correct over here. Now, the question is, how many of the above statements are incorrect? Now, the two statements are correct, only one statement is incorrect. So, which one of them is the answer? It's only A. That is, only one statement is incorrect. Moving on to second question, that consider the following statement regarding Nilgiri Tahr. Nilgiri Tahr is a predominantly found in eastern Ghats of India, and it is actually considered as a least concern species by IUCN. First of all, they are saying eastern Ghat. When they found in western Ghat, that is what we discussed in the entire video. Second is, they are not least concerned, they are endangered, and that was the topic of discussion, that they are endangered, and that's what we are trying to change over here. And the last statement is that the largest population of Nilgiri Tahr is found in Bandipur National Park, Karnataka. And I in the video said Ernakulam National Park is actually where they are found in the largest. So all the statements are incorrect. Now let's see the question. How many of the above statements are incorrect? Well, all the statements are incorrect, and that's why the answer is going to be C. Now, let's move on to next question. Take a step back and just focus about this question as you've read about the SCO. Consider the following statement regarding the SCO, that is Shanghai Cooperation Organization. First statement says India is founding member of the ICO. If you remember, it originated from Shanghai 5. India was not member of it. Even in 2011, it was formed as SCO. Uzbekistan was added as a new member. India was not part of it. India was added as a member in 2017 only. So this statement is correct. It has regional anti-terrorism structure at its permanent organization. I did talk about it. It is dedicated to the security structure. And third is SCO, or Shanghai Cooperation Organizations, covers roughly 60% of Europe and comprise 40% of world population. I discussed that, and there was GDP figure as well. So of course the statement is correct. So this one is correct and this one is correct, and thus answer is going to be what? 2 and 3. Okay, so we actually came up with the right answer. Now let's move on to the next question. Authorized Economic Cooperator program is introduced by World Bank, number 2 IMF, number 3 WTO, number 4 WCO. We discussed that it was World Customs Organization WCA that introduced Authorized Economic Cooperator. If you are not able to recall that, if you're not able to recall it, just go back and see the video. Okay, the answer is D, obviously. Now the next question. Consider the following statement regarding right to reject. Right to reject is part of right to free speech and expression under Article 19, subclause A, subclause 9. Now that is true, because it is giving you right to express your dissent. So you're expressing, and that's what Article 19 is about. Second, it required the re-election if majority exercise their right according to Article 326. The article is added, India does not have right to rejection. I said that clearly, we only have right to disapproval. So this statement is wrong. It guarantees equality among all candidates as per Article 14. Actually, it doesn't, because all the other people who are actually choosing a candidate, their vote is registered. Hey, you're only expressing a discontent. Your discontent does not result into election consequence. That's why it doesn't guarantee right to equality. Lastly, it secures voter participation and engagement as envisioned in Article 21. Article 21 doesn't envision something like that. And that's why this one is also wrong. Now, choose the correct option. The correct option is only 1. Okay, so we have come to that conclusion. Lastly, we will discuss one prelims question based on the first article that we discussed. The question is, in light of recent controversy regarding the use of electronic voting machine, should India explore other mechanism of voting like ballot system to ensure trustworthiness in election process? Now, how will you address this question? First of all, you will have to define what are EVMs. When were they introduced? Something like that. So, introduction will include that part, introducing EVM. And then when you will move on to body, you will make a connecting paragraph that is issues with the EVM, like it is vulnerable to hacking or any kind of other issues. So that's why people are thinking about moving to ballot system. Then in body, you will describe the other alternative like ballot system. And after defining it, you can make a table making a difference between the ballot system and EVM. And overall, you will realize that EVM has more advantages. It is logistically more efficient. It reduces time and cost. It prevents multiple malpractices. It actually also, you can talk about how the negative, how actually the vote cancelling is also dealt effectively by this. And ultimately, you realize that EVMs are better option. So thus you can say that ki India can explore other option, but maybe ballot system are not progressive instead. This is little regressive. Instead, then you will come to the suggestion part where you will say that, Indian democracy or Indian Election Commission of India have already come up. We are going to conclude this. We will talk about how actually have come up with multiple things like they have introduced VVPAT to ensure that there is free and fair election and EVMs are not tampered with. You can also talk about how technical expert committee also looks after it, and you can also suggest the data where EVM actually efficiently deliver the result. So overall, the suggestion will include that how VVPAT can be made more efficient to actually alleviate the doubts of the people. That is by making the process of counting VVPAT slips more electronic using a device or other mechanism which can make it more efficient. And thus you will conclude by saying that India's electoral system is one of the most vibrant system which has actually shown much efficiency over the year. So this actually reinstated the people's faith in the entire democracy. And thus you can actually conclude it on positive note. With this, we are done with this video. If you have any doubt, you can comment that in comment section.